We are live. That's right. Welcome to Sunday, January 11th, 2026. We are in the beginning of the new year and we are kicking it off with our second. This is our second, right? Wow, we are already 2 episodes into the series of Write a Book with Me from Concept to Completion. And by the way, today is a day of movement. But before we obviously get started, let's wait for a few more people to jump in and go through our spiel. First off, what's up, flowers? Yeah. How's it going, my friend? That's right. I also have a surprise for everyone today. A surprise, a little like, hey, surprise, but again, we'll get into that. If you don't know what's going on, every Sunday we do a series called Write a Book with Me. This is for everybody that is just stopping by after the live recording. We do this, and ultimately, what do I do? Ciao, bello. Emma, welcome to the live. For those who don't know, if you're just catching this video on a replay, I, Thomas J. Bellezza, I'm writing a book in real time on the screen using my process. Am I saying it is the correct process? No, I'm saying it's the process that I use. And if you don't know, we've been doing this for a year and 2 weeks today. And so far, we've done all of these 8 steps. We did the brainstorming, we did the character arcs, we did the short form outlining, extended outlining, we did the 0 draft chapter outlines for every chapter. We then organized more elements. We then adjusted what we found. And of course, we did alpha readers, but we kind of skipped that because, I'm not going to sit here and wait for alpha readers to read stuff when we're just trying to have fun with this. Oh. We'll join properly later. Don't forget to boop the like button. Yes, you have to boop and bloop the like button. But more importantly, Emma, let me know when you're back because I have a question to ask the audience that pertains to you. That pertains to you, my friend. Hey, what's up, Hannah Hahn? I'm not going to be in the chat because I'm going to go and see my mother. Have fun hanging out with the Madre. Tell her everybody here at the Right Mindset says, hello, Madre. Yeah, Madre. Madre. All right. And by the way, thanks for just stopping in to say you weren't going to be here. I appreciate that. It's very lovely and kind. We will miss you. We will miss you. Before we get into it, let's talk about the poll. What belief stalls drafts more? Oh, wait. What do we got here? And tomorrow is my 40th birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Cassidy. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Cassie. Celebrating the big 4-0. Happy birthday. Yep, no, the big 4-0. That is what we call over the hill, but let's be honest. Sometimes that's the beginning of the journey. You know why? Because you're going over the hill and then you get to go down and you go, whee! Okay. Honestly, it feels harder to get up that hill. Up that great big hill. So if you haven't seen our show, we always do a poll, and at the end of the hour, we like to talk about the poll. This week's poll is, what belief stalls drafts most for authors? We have, it must be perfect before I start. I can't start. I need it to be perfect. Then we have, it must be planned to the T. I'm going to outline every single detail, including the world building, before I even touch one word. Third is, it must be original before I start. If it isn't original enough, I won't even try. And of course, fourth, it must be marketable. Why write anything if it's not marketable and sell and isn't going to sell? I'm not even going to start because it's not marketable. So those are the 4 options for today's, and we will get into that. We got some more stuff. Oh, my body rolled down at the creek. When I was your age, I had to walk up the hill both ways, no shoes, no feet, and we only had one hat to share between the neighbors on a hot day. Thank you, everyone. I've been on vacation this week, and my mother was back. Oh, Jesus. It's always terrible when that happens, but I'm glad she's around for you to go and say hello. So please send our love to, what is it? Tu madre. Tu madre. Tu madre. All right. I've been going, wee. Funny. That's a funny. All right. So again, let's get into it. Let's talk about it. So for everyone who's here, you know that I've been going through the last 8 steps. We are gonna technically skip step 9, and the reason is, and let me just be clear on this. We didn't get alpha reader notes. So step 9 is revising the 0 drafts based on the alpha readers. And since I'm not gonna wait 2 weeks per chapter, 2 weeks per couple of chapters for people to read the alley, I'm doing this as a fun experiment to show everybody the process in real time, how to write a book. So we're going to skip some things. We're going to skip some things, okay? We're going to skip some things. All right, so we're going to officially hit the boom, and we're going to get, we are on step 10, the first draft, writing up the prose. Now, for context, to understand how much work we've done and how much time, since I only work on this basically 1 hour a week, we have done 52 hours to get to step 10. The revisions, I'll be honest, would probably take maybe another 3 or 4 hours. Maybe 10. It depends, because the revisions aren't super changes, because again, there's no pros, they're just 0 drafts. But with that said, 50 hours, right? I don't know about you, but on average, you know, I can fly through this process pretty good. But it took 50 hours of this series, okay, or 52 hours of this series to get to the first draft. And I know I've had some comments where people have said, hey, that's a lot of steps. And I agree. It's at least 9. But the big change is ultimately that each of these steps have helped me get to the point where I can now write the first draft without thinking about the foundation of it, the skeleton of it. Does the narrative make sense? The narrative does make sense before now I get into the prose. So we're going to do that today. Also, I have some notes to consider. I just want to personality. We've talked about that. No aliens. We definitely have to work on that. The magic is technology. We've already did that. This is stuff that this is all the brainstorming notes. I want the book to be about. Yeah, we're kind of there. I think it was 32. All right. All this is kind of in there. All right, let's go. Boop. Chapter 1. Laura Olivia's transporting service. I like it. All right, make sure the computer always has an added time it's speaking. Got it. This chapter might have to be broken up with the landing. I don't think so, but we'll see. That's a note to myself. By the way, I am never afraid to break up a chapter. If I need to make more chapters, the only time I start getting a little weary is if Act 1 is like 25 to 30 chapters, and then Act 2 is like 20. Then I'm like, wait, maybe something's going on. There's a mess up here. Maybe I'm lingering too long in Act 1. That's another thing, like your chapter, not the chapter lengths per se, but how many chapters you have versus word count versus so how many chapters you have and word count, connecting both Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3, right? Because traditionally, Act 2 is longer than Act 1 and longer than Act 3. So if your Act 1 is much, much longer than Act 2, sometimes you have to sort of put a little thought into it. However, I will have this caveat. If you're writing sci-fi or fantasy or thrillers, sometimes Act 1 ends up being a little thicker. Maybe it does have less chapters, but it's a little thicker. And the reason is because what do we do in Act 1? Act 1's job is set up, set up, set up. So if you don't set up enough, you can't do anything in Act 2. You can't challenge things. So it's okay if Act 1 is a little thicker than Act 2, but at the end of the day, you do want Act 2 to feel more involved because it's technically broken up into two parts. We're leading to the midpoint conflict, and then we're coming from the midpoint conflict. But none of that's important today. Let's talk about it. Let's rank. Oh, and if you have any questions while I'm doing this, either about what I am doing and why I am doing it, or if you have questions about your own book, remember, I'm a developmental editor and a writing teacher, so feel free to ask questions. Let's get into it. All right. All right, so how do I do this? Well, these are my plot points, okay? And I'm going to sort of just write to them. This was an idea I had as an example for it. Let's see what I think. Stars flash by in a dance of 1,000,001, shining on the brights of my eyes as I flew through space and time. I'm going to change that. The jolt, I jolted about in my seat, shimmering in the body of my ship. The soft make of these old cushions didn't relax the bumping on my ass. All right, I loosened my grip and allowed the handle to adjust to the incoming stop of light speed. All right. They don't often tell you about the dulling sensation. It comes. Oh. They don't tell you. By the way, again, this is going to be first draft, so I'm not going to really care about making it pretty, super pretty. I just kind of want to get the prose out. But the thing I will do is, I want to make sure that I'm writing what it is I want to try to write. But ultimately, when I get to the second draft, what am I going to do? I'm going to go into the prose, and I'm going to start thinking about it. I'm going to be, how do I add a little bit more immersion? However, that doesn't mean I can't add immersion here. So they don't often tell you about the dulling sensation. Comes flying in the flashing lines of distant stars. They don't often tell you about the dulling sensation that comes from flying in the flashing lines of distant stars, the ship shaking in a clatter of chaos on your way to your home planet. Shaking ship in the clatter of chaos on your right. All right, I'm trying to start off like, let's create a question. Let's create some history. So remember, this is Laura. She's in the narrative. She is because we're writing in first person. So the way I'm trying to look at it is I'm trying to create a position in the first sentence, not necessarily setting atmosphere, though I feel this could do that. I want us to understand where she is. I like the line clatter of chaos. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah. That's the thing. I do try to write with a lyrical clarity, and I sort of like playing with that alliteration. If I don't know if you've read any of the Death of a King stuff, Diana, though the prologue is available for free on the Patreon. I like to play with the rhythm of words, and I think that comes from my songwriting days and my because I'm a little artsy. They don't often tell you about the Delling sensation. It comes from flying and the flashing lines of distant stars, or ship shaking in a clatter of chaos on your way to your planet. Yeah. Shining on the right of my. I don't like this line. We're gonna get rid of this. All right. Hmm. One stop. 100. Nay. One stop. Hmm. All right. Gotta spell words right, 'cause that's how I am. You gotta spell words right. Yeah. Oh, what's up, Angel Faye? Welcome to the show. Do 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 do. All right. All right. Let's get into this. Flashing lines and distant stars, or a ship shaking cloud of chaos on your way to your man. One stop. One stop. I think it should be to reach distant planets, right? To reach one stop. To reach distant planets. One stop. Oh, I think it should be distant. Oh, distant. Son of a stop. To reach distant planets, even the 100th. I'm going to use an M dash here for rhythm, right? Even the 100th. I think this would have shocked the mind of the uninitiated. You get used to it. I think that works. All right. I'm good. I see the book is coming along. Yeah, we're back to chapter 1, and we're officially working on the first draft. Oh, we got 9 people in the audience. All right, let's before I go any further, there is a poll. So if you like sitting around watching and enjoying the show, there is a poll. What belief stalls most drafts? We have 4 options. We have it must be perfect. I cannot keep going until I make this perfect. Number 2, it must be planned to the T, or I'm not even going to try to write it. Number 3 is it must be original before I start. If it doesn't feel original, why do I even bother? And of course, number 4, it must be marketable. If it's not going to sell, well, I shouldn't tell this story. It's a waste. It's a waste. We will talk about that in the hour. Come on, Sue. You know you're always welcome here. You know you're always welcome. All right. Hello, everybody. Yay. Oh, I don't know if anyone knows this, but something came in the mail today. The next proof. I have officially received the proof 1 day earlier than I was expecting on the Amazon. So this book, I have gotten the proof, and I will tell you, the cover adjustment is fantastic. It definitely, I even cleaned up the back a little bit. So the 27 plot point outline has officially been delivered to my hands. I'm gonna give it a once over, obviously, because I did make a couple of adjustments within the book itself for the format. But as you can see, this is why we order proofs. By the way, let me make the screen a little bit bigger. So this is the original proof I got. Now see how the design is a little cut off, right? And then all this stuff. Look how tall that is. So the reason we get our proofs is so we can see that. You don't want to sell this book when it's all off like that. So then I did the adjustment, and as you can see, I was able to fix it. We now have a border around it that's nice and smooth. I gave it a little bit more room down here so it's not getting eaten up. I lowered the top so we have some breathing room on the head. And then I made this a little bit more smaller, but you give it a little border. So woo! I'm pretty excited about that. It all came out nice. So that is what I'll be doing this week. And hopefully we'll get this in and out, if you know what I mean. In and out. What do we got here? Yay! Wow. Well, wow, as in I got it a day earlier. Wow, you like the cover. You liking that cover? That is a pretty cover, right? That's a pretty cover. I really like the design. I think it came out well. Clean all the details that bothered you on the cover. Yeah, I cleaned all the details. Yeah. The big issue for me was it was just too big. Like I went outside the area and just like an idiot. And of course, you see how close to the top. There's no breathe. You always want breathing room. You always want breathing room when you're making designs. Which, by the way, Angel Faye will be joining me on a writer sprint, and she's going to talk about some book covers. Book covers. Yay for proofs! Yeah, you need your proofs. That's a lot more balanced. Yeah, it definitely, shrinking it down and sort of organizing it definitely helped pop the cover. What baby? What baby? It's a pity. Hey, what's up, Em? Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you. True. Yeah. All right. Where are we? Boom. Let's get into it. So we are working on the first draft. We are in the prose. Again, when you're writing prose for the first draft, I recommend not really going too heavily into it. I think I went a little heavy into that first one, but it is the opening. And I sort of wanted to create a position and really, they don't often tell you about the dulling sensation that comes from flying in the flashing lines of distant stars or a ship shaking in the clatter of chaos on your way to your home planet. One stop to reach distant planets, even the 100th. I'd think this would have shocked the mind of the uninitiated. You get used to it. All right, so what, baby? You want to come and write? We tried last time you wrote. Everything was meowsers. Okay. Let's get into it. Okay. How am I going to do in the book format? Just for the record, the way I'm going to work, I think I've talked about this. The way I'm going to work the computer talking is I'm going to give the text, the font, like a wave to it. Like I'm going to make it look a little different. I don't think I have a font like that in Google yet. Like if it was like beep. Let's see. Do I have like a spacey? I know that when I do it, I have like 5,000 fonts in the computer. So if I was on the computer, it's different. But all right. But what I'll do is I'll give it a little character, But closing in. Can't I can italicize it, but what I want to do is I want to give the dialogue a little bit more character when I'm doing the formatting. So when I'm actually designing the book, the inside of the book, I'm gonna give the writing like maybe like some texture to it, so we know it's the main issue with italicizing this, especially in dialogue, is that for readers who read a lot, it italicizes it to the point where it's like, oh, is this thought? You know, what is the context of it? Like, so it's also teaching people to know that it's always the computer, which, by the way, allows me to remove anything that has to say, because right now I have to say the computer said. Yeah, ship's computer said. Right? I sort of want to get rid of that. But the distance isn't it too much? The distance isn't it what? I always do 03 04. I always do I'm sorry, Angel Faye. I don't know. Are you talking about the distance of the planets? I don't know how far the planet is from the ship right now. I just know that we're closing in on planet name. Unless you're talking about 3-4. Are you talking about 3-4 as in the size, the font? Gave her computer a name and whole personality. So I always knew it was the computer talking. It was in her Warriors woman. Yeah, the computer's definitely going to have a personality. I think we even talk about it. Well, I erased one of the notes, but the goal is to have the computer giving like a playful personality. I use italics for when my character has well, when you have inner thoughts. Yeah. You always in formatting you want to use inner thoughts. Anyway, one of my goals with the first draft is not necessarily the greatest or perfect dialogue. I'm just going to start with ideas and then I'm going to build on it. I'm approaching this a little differently than I would do the rewrite the greats. Rewrite the greats. I'm trying to make it clean in real time, whereas this I just want to work out the idea, All right. All right. Yeah, you get used to it. We're closing. Let's do this. Beep. Beeping. Let's took what over. I can't spell. Okay. All right. Anyway, don't worry about spelling, as they say, because we don't care about that in first draft. All right. Well, we got more stuff. I use italics for the. Oh yeah, we were talking about it. I meant the first line. You do this. Uh, in the states, that would be technically incorrect. We're supposed to keep it flat. So whenever it's a new scene, like if I had a space like that, you know, here we are writing a new scene. It has to be like that, even if it's this. I don't know how it is anywhere else in the world. I just know that in the states, uh, the first line to a new section is always flat. Of course, I should be writing it like this, obviously, because it's a should be doing that, but I am not going to because I'm just writing it. But also, if you're talking about the first letter being big, like like that, I wouldn't do that now. It wouldn't be. It wouldn't make any sense right now because I'm not formatting it. This is not I'm not writing this to be the first. I mean, I'm not writing this to be the last. Like I'm gonna finish it on page 300 and be like, it's done. Like none of that's important right now. I'm not even concerned with that. Yes, I've learned that too. The first line is flush with the left margin. Yeah, that's it's pretty traditional, I believe. Yeah, yeah, I think it's pretty traditional, right? Yeah, it's flush to the line. Yeah, so here's a new chapter, so it's flush to the line. See if there's some soft chapter breaks. There should be. This book is filled with them. So here's a soft chapter break. This is a soft, and it's to the left. Traditional formatting is like that, but obviously, and I say this very confidently, is as authors you can do whatever you want because part of the formatting and design of your book, the layout of it, is going to be indicative to your voice. There it is in the real one. But the next paragraph, you have distance. All right. Traditionally, it's 0.5, but I'll say this much. When I'm writing this version of it, this is a first draft. I don't care about format. I don't care about, what is the, because again, yeah, no, I understand. No, I understand. I get it. I get it. Uh, this is, this is not meant to be, let's put it this way. If you're an author and you're writing the first draft to be formatted 100% to what it's going to look like, because like when I worked on this book, right, I didn't format it in Google Docs. I formatted it in InDesign. And when I got it to InDesign, I made paragraph styles and I made stuff like that. So during this process, if it doesn't look like a finished book while I'm working, or it's not to certain dimensional choices that other authors would make, those are not the things I'm personally focusing on. However, other authors can. So absolutely, without a doubt, feel free to spend time worrying about that stuff. But I think at this level, the measurement, you know what I'm saying? Like the measurement, like even, I mean, technically, this is all wrong because I'm using the wrong page setup. I'm using A5. The book is probably going to be 6.9, so I'm not gonna make it 6.9. I don't even care right now. Like it's not important. You know, these margins, my margins are way off too. The margins in a format wouldn't be these things, but the reason I have the margins where I do is so if you notice, I can scroll up and down, and the video is not covering the words, right? Um, the distance from the top to here, this is actually wrong. What it should be is like, it should technically be this. It should be half the page. Uh, should be half the page length. But again, why would I do that now? Again, this page is not 6.9. You would adjust that in the formatting stage, which is like, if I may, step 20. So we got a little bit to go. I got maybe 10 steps before I have to start having like anxiety attacks or get nervous about um you know the counts, the measurements. But I get let's see. I don't even know where they are. I can't. It doesn't even work. All right. That little bit of change right there, I to worry about that now would just be for me would be a waste of time to try to adjust those for everything. What else we got? Do, 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 do. But that doesn't mean it's necessarily right for everybody. Yeah, so use indentation after that until you get. Yep. Thomas, yes, correct. I am by far not polishing. I'm not thinking about character names. Like I said, planet name goes here. I'm not thinking of making the dialogue perfect or pretty. Uh, the hardest part about writing in real time would be having to stop because, hey, you should use this word, or hey, uh, you know, there should be immersion there, right? Because it's the first draft. It's the first draft. In fact, I could just write, um, you know, oh man, it's gonna do that now. Son of All right, 1 second. Messing with that just messed up everything. All right. Oh man. All right, 1 second, everybody. Because I had to show the thing, it messed up the indent. All right. Well, all right. Give me a minute. The water is sus, but it tastes delicious. InDesign, yeah, I love InDesign. It's definitely the program that I recommend everybody use. Planet of Bloop Bloop. What's up, Afghani? Alpha Blue Bar. Alpha Blue Party. That's funny. I wonder if the bloop will get mentioned. I don't know. The sword of bloop bloop might get mentioned. That was a headache. Is that dog creature's name? Is that the dog creature's name? Yeah. It's Bloopy. It's Bloopy. All right. Because I messed with the indent, it's being an issue. 1 second. Hmm. Hmm. Somehow I broke it. All right. 1 second. Uno momento, por favor. Oh, great. Oh, great. It's like that now for all the pages. All right, let's see. Add space before paragraph. Nope. Align an indent. Well, because I adjusted the indent, it's messing up the complete format now, which is what I would call a headache. All right, I fixed it. Okay. Boop. All right, here we go. We're back in. We're back in. Jesus. Okay. Is there any other adjustments anyone needs me to make? It's all good. It's all good. It's all fun here. It's all fun and games. All right. Richard, what's up, buddy? How do I select all the above on the poll? That's very easy. Just select one and then just say gong of success. All right. Normally I fly through this. My brain is going crazy now because all right. Can we name the planet Uranus? I believe it's pronounced Uranus. However, I think Afghani's version is definitely the stronger. My anus. Oh my. Lights blasted. I think it should be pulsing red. Red. Pulsing red. In time. Loud. Bell? High pitch? Oh, loud warning. There's a word for like I guess oh, you know what? I know what I could do. Pulsing red and timing against a loud. I guess we could just call it a siren, siren or alarm. Siren. I flicked it. Anyway. All right. What we got here? Good day. What is up, Sean? We're almost an hour in. I should be much further. All right. All right. Where are we? What's going on here? All right, couple things before I keep going. Hey, look at that. For some reason, the spell check doesn't pop up on here, so I have to highlight it. All right. It is bright. It's the only way I can see which words are spelled wrong. All right, a couple things just to understand first draft because you the goal with the first draft isn't to be perfect. It isn't to, which is a good lesson right now. What we're learning, I'm trying to write out an opening and then a rhythm between the characters. But what I'm finding is, I haven't truly discovered the computer's voice yet. I feel like I have Laura's behavior, like the way her mind works in there. I just need to connect it to the way the narration is going. So remember, since it's first person, Laura is narrating the story. She's the this is her up here. They don't often tell you about the dulling sensation that comes from flying and the flashing lines of distant stars or a ship shaking in a clatter of chaos on your way to your home planet. I'm probably going to have to work on this sentence for sure. It's just very long. One stop to reach distant planets, even the 100th. I think this would have shocked the mind of the uninitiated. You get used to it, right? So we're saying that she's been doing this. She's done this a couple times, right? And then lights blasted, pulsing right in time against the loud siren. I jammed 3 buttons down. I feel like that was a rush. There's a pace to that. But as a first draft, I don't. These aren't things I'm thinking about right now. I'm just trying to get out the rhythm of the scene. Even this, like this dialogue to me, definitely has to be adjusted and changed. But again, if I'm thinking about that, if I focus all my energy on making sure every line is perfect or that I'm hitting the right pace during the first draft, I'm going to not only slow down my process, but I'm working on the wrong stuff. And that's why I have multiple drafts, because each draft is designed for a very specific thing. In fact, once I'm done with the first draft, what do? I go through it and I take more notes and then I figure out what I want to adjust, etc., etc. So this is a really good lesson just for the author's mind, is that at the end of the day, if you're trying to make, like, right, I could spend time on this. I could be like, that's not what you need to do. Oh, the computer said, should I write that? Should I not write that? Should I be like, radio click popped over broken speakers. That's not what you need to do. All right, so I could do that, right? But again, that's me working the line. That's me saying, hey, let me take a second, add some flavor or immersion. But if I'm doing that during the first draft, I don't feel I'll be finding the scene or the rhythm or, because obviously if we work a line, it's going to come out nice. But that's not the purpose of a first draft. The first draft is really to get through it. I've been working while I've been listening, but I'm going to be driving while I'm listening, so I probably won't say much today. Ro, be careful out there. I'm going to write this month's newsletter. We'll leave the stream on for a bit. Thank you, Richard. I appreciate that. It's very kind of you. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. All right. Where are we? Where are we? Let's get back to it. Or like this, that should be popping, like a radio clicked, a radio clicked popping over broken speakers. That's not what I'm saying. Voice static, static, static. clashing against the shivering body of the ship. Right? I could do that. I could just sit here and be like, how do I make these sentences more come to life or something like that? But in reality, if I wanted to, I could just do this, uh, you know, and just have it go back and forth, right? Because it's a first draft. I don't like to normally sit here and be like, let me clean up this sentence, let me clean up that sentence, let me do this, let me do that. Also, I would take a little bit more time to get here. Maybe jump into that a little bit because I do want to get to maybe that it's the ship is shaking, comes to a stop. I need to work out the hyperspeed, right? Yeah. Okay. Okay. Boop. All right. So we got don't lights blasted, pulsing red. Time is bad. Damn, 3 buttons down in a row. Broken. That's not what you need to do. The voice static clashing against the shivering body of the ship. Right. Oh, help. No time for her. All right, here's what my brain is thinking. Instead of telling the audience that it's a computer right away, maybe play a little bit with the idea that it's somebody talking over the radio and then slowly but surely reveal it. So this goes into the vague but informative element that I like to use as writing. So instead of, because remember, exposition slows the pace, but also makes the reader have to think. But if you're trying to frame the movement of the scene, or the camera is going or something like that, it's nice to slowly build information for the reader, so they can like build a nice relationship with what's going on ultimately. Okay. Okay. I should just say the radio clicked, popping over broken speakers. Push to the sides. Cockpit. Cockpit. Cockpit walls. Okay. Actually, corners. Corners. I like the idea of it's flush, but it's in the corners. Flush to the sides. Now flush to the corners. Corners. Should be cockpit. To the cockpit's corners. Cockpit corners. Cockpit corners. Is that right? Is that right? Yeah, I mean, it's spelling right. Is it spelling right? Yeah, that feels right. Cockpit corners. Okay. That's not what you need to do. Why would that work? Why would that work? Doing it wrong. All right. That's funny. You're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong, but what do I know? All right, the voice static clashing against the shivering body of the ship. Okay, now I feel like I'm finding a little bit of the computer's voice, but again, the reader wouldn't know that it's a computer yet. You can have some suspicion, That's what she said. That's what she said. The radio click popping over, broken speakers flush to the cockpit corners. Why would that work? You're doing it wrong. But what do I know? The voice static, clashing against the shivering body of the ship. Now, more importantly, again, I feel like that what I just did there is more second draft maintenance, more second draft work. But I guess what the hell, if I'm here, I'm here. Might as well just play with it a little bit. But the reason I'm a little against doing that kind of work that I just did, because that is technically work, and honestly, I should be working this opening sentence too, but um, is because once I finish the first draft, I'm gonna have to go back and take notes, and those notes will adjust things, change prose, they'll change the character's voice will be slightly different. Maybe I want to seed or build up to something else that comes into chapter 3 or 5. Maybe there's a reveal in chapter 15 about the computer, and I'll be like, oh, you know what? I could put that into the first chapter. And what that does, though, is it changes the rhythm of what I'm writing. So all this prettiness here, right? All that work I just did for that might just come right out because of the timing. It might not fit the rhythm. Hey, I'm Fed. Welcome back, Emma, Sean, Richard. Hey, Emma. Welcome back. Hey, watch your row. Watch yourself. Emma, I have a question for the audience. For Emma. To everyone out there, what is the name of my cat? You know the cat that jumps up here sometimes? What is the cat's name? Is it Cat or is it something? Does it have a different name? And have I told everybody the name of the cat? Afghani. Hey, flowers. Flowers. All right, moving on. If you stop hitting me, I'd be happy to tell you, Laura. I don't know, but she's gorgeous. That is correct. Afghani is correct. It's a dog. Hi, Angel. Angel Faye. Is Angel Faye in the room still? Hey, Emma. Yes. Yeah, what is the cat's name, right? The cat has a name, right? Another thing that slows down the process, seeking approval and permission on everything. Well, that's true. Hey, Angel Faye. 2, that's right. The cat's name is 2. I thought we all knew her name. I thought we did too. I guess Claus. That is her nickname, Claus. Because she has a claws. That's right. Her real name is Two-Face, but we call it 2 for short. Correct. See, Flowers knows. Flowers, you get one of the, you get an applause. Boom. I have a baby in my arms. Give that baby a hug and a kiss from all of us. But I do call her 2. That's right. Cat person took note. The cat person. Why is her name Two-Face? Because she's one of those cats that has like the one color on one side and one color on the other side of her face. She has like that kind of design. So she's Two-Face from Batman and Robin, comic book fan, and Two-Face has 2 faces. Cutie kitten, fuzzy farts. That's actually very close, Sean. That is probably the closest. That's what I would name a cat if the wife would let me. I mean, you could technically still call the cat that, There's a story behind that. There's always a story behind the names. Just like Morticia is Tisha for short. I like that. I'm not teasing you. But I just want you to know. You said that I never say. I told you the cat's name. Be right back. Put her down for the night and let her sleep. I may have accused Thomas of keeping her name from me. And I know I was very giving. I'm very giving with information. I wanted to name Midnight Fred. That's good. After Funny Face and Fred Astaire, I got overruled. Remember, just because someone says you can't, like if I had a child and I was with someone and they were like, hey, the kid's name's going to be Jackie. I'd be like, that's great. But that doesn't mean I got to call her Jackie. I could be like, what's up, Aoriana? And then my partner would be like, hey, that's not her name. And I'd be like, No, that's not the name. That's my nickname I gave her. That's my play name. And if they're like, no, it's Jackie, then I'd be like, all right, can I call them Jack or Ja or Jay or Aki? And they're like, yeah, because that's a play on their name. Oh, so it's a nickname. That's not their real name. Well, Oriana is their nickname. I'm just saying. Also, if I had kids, I would name them after their chores. So we'd have kitchen floors, garbage. The only one a real name would be John for the bathroom, but we'd spell it Mike. So when she was in school, they'd be like, "Is John here?" And she'd be like, "It's Mike. It's Mik." My parents are retarded. All right, I got my way with Simba's name. Oh, Simba. Simba. Do you see all the light that is? We rule all the land that touches the light. He's a little lion that gets into meow. Ginger cat. Meow 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 meow. I like that. I like a ginger cat. I'm a fan of redheads. It's a curse. All right. Where are we? Right. A little help. Little, little help. Time for it. I ain't no time for her. For it. Smashing. See. All right. I'd also like to point out, this is the other thing. I don't normally, what is the word I'm looking for? I don't normally write in first person, so I'm also trying to figure out how I want to um I want to write in my voice because I want to try to maintain the cinematic rotating kind of framing style that I like, the immersive. I like constant movement, whether it's emotional or it's physical. So the big issue for me with first person is I get to sort of sit in somebody's head a little bit more, whereas with third person limited, I don't. But I still believe there is a way to maintain my style while getting into into first person. So like I had no time for her for it smashing another several buttons in a row. This should be smashing another. Like I don't know, bruised fist. I don't know which one shuts this damn thing. So like smashing another several buttons. Bruised. See, like if it was third person, I would probably kind of play with that a little bit. The phrasing would be a little bit more immersive, but I'm trying to fit it into first person. But again, it's first. It's a first draft. Mike Cowl, is there a Meek Cowl present? Meek Cowl. Is a Meek Cowl? Aaron. Is Aaron here? Present. Okay. Uh, if you stop hitting me, I'd be happy to say. All right, see, like I'm liking this little interaction here. Why would that work? You're doing it wrong. But what do I know? The voice static clashing against the shivering body of the ship. Right. A little help. I had no time for it. Smashing several buttons in a row, I bruised the curl of my fist on the red. Which one shuts this damn thing off? D nice. D nice. Is there a D nice in here? I love that episode. All right, anyway. Jilted bag. Shimmering in the shimmer. Hold myself still. Arms. All right. If you stop hitting me, I'd be happy to tell you. That's what I say to the missus when I come home pissed from the pub. Where were you? When I was a kid, my parents, they believed in hitting. And my mom would like smack us, as kids, me and my brother, and we'd be crying. And then she would turn into this stop crying hit behavior, cry more behavior. So it'd be like, stop crying, stop, you're crying. And we're like, what are you hitting? Stop hitting. I feel like M is basically saying the same thing there. It's just, hey, welcome back, Angel Faye. I jilted back into, how about in my seat, shimmering, trying to hold myself still. The arms. The damn chair already broken on one side, both sides. Both sides. So I lifted the one. All right. Do I like this? The soft make of these little cushions didn't relax the pumping. Yes. Next week, this will be the hour that I put my baby to sleep at 10 p.m. Oh, yeah, I feel bad because we have the time difference. Fond childhood memories that time. Oh, so fond. It makes me feel bad that I have a photographic memory. You know what I'm saying? Like, why do I got to remember that? I don't need to remember that. All right. I do like the idea of this passage, and we'll get there. We'll get there. Uh, we already used that. We got that in there. All right. I need to work out the hyperspace device, what they look like, how they work, their limitations, and the cost of using it. So this is where I'm going to add the little something, something. All right. So instead of saying it's the vector alpha vessel, right? All right. Oh, we've been doing this for an hour, so let me just look at this over real quick. They don't often tell you about the dulling sensation that comes from flying and the flashing lines of distant stars. Should be nor ship shaking the clatter, chaos. I like that. I do like that line. Um, right. They don't often tell you about the dulling sensation that comes from flying in the flashing lines of distant stars, nor a ship shaking in the clatter of chaos. Bruised arms. One stop to reach distant planets. I'm getting there. Just bloop the like button. What's up, SB? Did you copy your outline into a new doc so you still have the originals? Correct. Yes. Just so everyone knows, I don't know if you could see up here, but the file name is Chapter 1 FD. So basically, what I did, I just copied every file from the zero draft folder, made a new folder for first drafts, and then just pasted all of them in there. And then as I open each new draft or each new file, I just rename it. I just add the FD. And what that allows me to do, it allows me to delete these bullet points slowly as I write out the prose. Okay? So yes. And the reason I do that is because I want to always be able to go back to the original zero draft and reference it just as much as I want to go back to the first draft. I'm going to do the same thing when I write the second draft. I'm going to copy all first drafts, and I'm going to put it into a second draft folder and start the process again. This would have shocked the mind of the uninitiated. As it should. You get used to it. I did. All right. Let me see if that's oh shit. Okay. Bruised. Flight. Okay. Do 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 do. Boom boom. I think that worked. I think that looks a little cleaner. That's what I've done with this book. I have all my outline in green and change it to white once I've written it. It's easy to search through the check. Yes, yes. My memory. I get that. I get that. Hi, SB. Oh, Emma. What is up? All right. You light up my. All right, I'm just gonna read through this, and then we're gonna call it a. We're going to do the poll, and we'll talk a little bit. All right. They don't often tell you about the dulling sensations that comes from flying in the flashing lines of distant stars. I think it would. She wouldn't say nor. Or a ship shaking in the clatter of chaos. The bruised backs and arms of hitting about in the flight deck. Still. Even the bruised backs and arms hitting. The flight deck. Still, one stop to reach distant planets, even the 100th stop. I think this would have shocked the mind of the uninitiated, as it should. You get used to it. I did. Oh, editing. All right. Well, to be fair, I'm not technically editing, but I guess I am editing. Also, excuse me, did you change your YouTube handle to include author? Oh, nice. Interesting. Thomas, what part of the process do you dislike? I'm not saying I dislike it. There's not one process of the creative process that I dislike, but I could rate them in the order that I do like. But if I was to look at my actual process, let's see, right here. The alpha readers, I like my alpha readers and I like having alpha readers, but it's probably my least favorite part of it. Um, Only because of the occasional run in with um, spell check, and anytime you have an alpha reader start giving you notes on things that aren't even close to being relevant at the time, because you have, first of all, I have this entire process ahead of me, and to think that, hey, um you know uh this sentence, it doesn't feel very immersive. It feels, this one's in third person, this one's in first person, and I'm like, it's just you're reading zero drafts. I ignore that, and I want to understand. So finding good alpha readers, that's the part where I would put low on the list of what I like and don't like. But I don't think I do like working with alpha readers. I'm just, and as far as editing, Richard, I'm only kind of doing that. But traditionally, I wouldn't even touch on editing right now. I wouldn't even. It's just having the audience is making my brain like go into like hyper OCD and like adjusting. It's sort of like I'm working on the rewriting the greats. So like, I'm just going a little deeper, but I wouldn't. Hello, Emma. I think I prefer editing more than staring at a blank page. I mean, that's fair. I haven't really stared at a blank page in a long time, though. As you can see, I just started writing. If I could go back in time, which I could by watching the video, you'll notice that I started with one kind of sentence, and then, you know, I mean, look at where I came. This is where I am now versus where I was, because the way I look at it is I just start writing, and I know I'm going to adjust things anyway, so it's not really if I just start writing, I don't think like it's going to be bad. I just go, well, I'll get there. I'll find the rhythm. I'll find the words. I'll find the scene. And you know what? Even if I wrote 300 or 400 words and I got to the end and I was like, I'm not really enjoying this, I have no issue going back and changing or adjusting what it is I have. Richard just dislikes knowing I'm right with what needs changing. That's fair. That's fair. There's nothing wrong with changing. I changed my handle about 2 years ago. Nice. It's true. I quite like it. I do love outlining. Outlining is, I would put outlining at the top of what I love to do about the process. Um, that's probably the thing I love more than anything about the writing process is outlining. But not because it's like organized, but it's because where I find the narrative. I used to write everything, as like prose, and then like to go back and try to figure out, is my narrative working, is a headache. And to be able to look at just these quick lines or these broad statements and just be like, oh, this doesn't make sense. Let me create the natural beat that's supposed to go here. So all that really, I love that part of it. However, if I was to say my favorite part more than anything in the world would absolutely have to be that point. And please tell me if you feel this too as writers. I'm sure you do. It's that point where you're getting very close to being done with the whole book. Like you might be on draft 3 or draft 4, whatever the case is, or maybe draft 6, who knows. But like you're at that point and you see it. You see the narrative, you see the story working. You're no longer reading a work in process, but you're going, that's it. It's here. That feeling is my favorite feeling in the entire process, is when you're finally, because even with the Death of a King, the epic fantasy, there are certain chapters I have where they're basically second drafts, and like the people I have sort of like read over each draft, which are like my closest quote unquote allies. Um I occasionally get a note like, I don't think you should touch this chapter. This chapter is looking good, and I'm like, oh, all right. That makes me feel good. But when I'm seeing it and then they see it too, that's like, it's just like so overwhelmingly relaxing. I know that's a lot of contradiction in there, but it's just like, oh, yes. What I see and feel working, everyone else is seeing and feeling working, and that's just a great feeling. I don't usually have the blank page issue. The more you write, even if you're not writing novels, like if you're just practicing the constant act of writing, the less you deal with blank page issue. Ooh, that water tastes different today. All right. I love outlining because it involves messing around and spreadsheets. And everyone knows spreadsheets are amazing. Spreadsheets are amazing. Speaking of spreadsheets, here you go. That'll blow your mind. Look at all that information. Look at it all. All right, that was fun. I was waiting for Rich to show so I could show him the thing. I will love it in book 4. I will love it in book 4. Oh, when you're outlining. Yeah, all right. Yeah. With my new 27 plot point outline book that came in. Woo! I can't wait to read that again. I like outlining too. Angel Faye. Yeah, outlining is a lot of fun. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Oh, spreadsheets. Oh my. That's what's crazy about that spreadsheet? Look at this. I got my timelines. Well, actually I got timelines. I figure out my months. I got my locations. I got my characters and like all their stats. Any elements that pop up that I need to write about, right? I got my plot points. I got everything. I got gods. I got species because I don't call them races. I got studies, which is like, what their skill is. My spreadsheets tell me everything I need to know, and it's right there at my fingertips. That's all I'm saying. Spreadsheets. Is it? No, it is not excelente. Excellent. It's Google Spreads. I saw that spreadsheet the other day, and I got so confused. Oh, yeah, that spreadsheet is used to help me organize basically my word count and to see the progression of word count. It helps me understand if a chapter is working or if it's before or after a big chapter or a small chapter. It's just very uh it's useful for the long game for me the way I do it. Flashing your spreadsheets at us. Emma, if you behave, I don't mind flashing my spreadsheets at you. You know that. I find myself not describing the character's physical appearance. I tend to slip small details in when it feels right. What are your thoughts on that? That's a great question, by the way. So my feelings on that are I have two schools of thought with it. The first one is we want to know what your character looks like. So describe your character as much as you can. However, this where I lean towards is it narratively relevant, and how much is their appearance important to that narrative? So, for example, Devious in the Death of a King series, his blue eyes, not that, blue eyes and everything, it's just his blue eyes are directly connect him to his mother. And that is narratively important. So I'm constantly reminding the reader that he has blue eyes. I do mention that his hair is longer, so throughout the first act, I'm constantly reminding people that his hair is growing longer. But again, the narrative purpose of that is time has passed, not he has long hair. But since I'm saying his hair is long, I also say his long brown hair is reaching the middle of his back. His long brown hair is reaching his waist, right? Whatever the case is. So I believe the visual of it is important enough for the reader to understand that this is a being, they look like something, but I also want them to be able to just be like, this is what they look like to me. So I only rely on narratively important details. Aaliyah has red hair. Of course, it's epic fantasy. But Aaliyah's hair is narratively important to her origins, her mother, and of course, connecting her to other elements. And then there's another character who also comes from a region that is near where she's from, but not necessarily from. So we learn, oh, people with red hair, they traditionally come from this region. So that is narratively important. Why? Because it's world building, but it's also connecting to something else that's important. So those are my two schools. I do not think the other one is right or wrong. If you want to overly describe your characters so every detail is shown, do it. If that's what you want, it's your voice as an author. I personally don't like. I'm not going to describe Devious as being 6'1". He is a massive Sarvian with dark tan skin, blue eyes. What a strong chin. Though I do talk about his beard, right? But the way I talk about his beard is through characters playing with it, or if he's playing with it. But I also use the beard as time is passing, right? So, or there's a moment I like. I'm not saying it's a good moment, but in the prologue, Zoliva is leaning over to baby Devious. He's like 9, and I describe her hair like curling down over him and the way. So I'm using it narratively to explain what Devious is seeing. So that I like doing it that way, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's the right way for everyone. You love it. Oh my god. Oh, yes, there's colors everywhere. I love organizing the colors of my spreadsheets. To be honest, your spreadsheets are rubbish compared to I'll take it. I will absolutely take it. Damn, those are some nice spreadsheets. Thanks, Sean. I've been working them out. Oh, yeah. Are you going to fill it up and show us how to use it? Diana, yes. And in the earlier videos of this series, I do fill it up when I'm working out the zero drafts. As I finish each draft as I finish each first draft, I will then add those numbers to the sheet, and you will see that in real time as well. How rude. I only use the word count, chapter page, and the character descriptions because I are important. Yeah. The spreadsheet is there for anyone. Anyone could download it, but yeah, use whatever you got to use. I don't recommend you use everything. You don't have to explain all your gods. You don't have to explain the different species. I do that because I am writing epic fantasy, and I just want to make sure that when I'm writing book 3, I remember somebody's eye color. or if a character is tall or short, or if the character has a very specific religion, or if the character like that stuff is important for the long game. That would be good to see. Yeah, I definitely will go over it. Spread those sheets. Spread those sheets. For you, Richard, anytime. Ignore. She doesn't appreciate the intricacy of a good spreadsheet. I don't have a blank page issue. Now I finished. Oh, now a finished page. Yes, a finished page is quite difficult. And she just disparages my own spreadsheets. Listen, all you gotta do is just stay in your lane, Rich, and enjoy your spreadsheets. Just don't. If you're in Excel, don't go to Google Sheets because Excel will get very upset. Excel gets jealous. I pick out 1 or 2 things because you wouldn't normally notice everything about a person. Yes, that is also true. Like when I talk about narratively important, that's basically what I'm saying. Because at the same time, what do we notice about characters and what is distinctively them? Devious's blue eyes is distinctively him because his mother comes from a region that isn't necessarily around this area. This area is like, there's actually a massive desert close to where Devious is living. So everyone is obviously darker. It's 2 suns. I have by the way, everybody on the planet has some variation of darker skin to protect. By the way, that darker skin could be orange or purple as well. But yeah, so his eyes also suggest that he's from a different region. It's not that like in Brandon Sands, the light eyes. It means that like their status. It has nothing to do with status. It is literally just directing. It's connecting him to the heritage of his mother. Um, so like that stands out to people. I have characters that are missing an arm, and that stands out to people. I have, I have a in the prologue because it's available for everyone to read. You could literally go to Patreon. You go to makearightleftear.com, go to Patreon, and then you can look for the Scribe uh, playlist, and the whole prologue is free. So you could read the steps of the prologue and everything. But in the prologue, the trolls have tattoos and they have a very distinct look. So what Devious notices about the design of the troll is what I describe, but I don't necessarily describe the trolls as they are. I describe them through the perspective of a character. So flowers. That's a really great way to do it. Absolutely, because people do not just instantly take in every element. For me, it's usually people talk about my beard, my hair, and my eyes, uh, and not my belly. All right. Let's see. Readers are going to imagine the character in their own creative ideal. At least that's what I do. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, it's it's okay. Like, if you have beta readers or alpha readers going, look, I have no idea what these characters look like. You gotta add something. Like my Humerians, they're probably closest to what a human would look like, but they do have slightly different looks than a human. Their eyes are a little further back, because their eyes. Not that it's not important to them because everybody looks like that, but because there's two suns, so it's a way to block the sun from there. But the Veilus look a very specific way, so I make sure to mention their hair. I make sure to mention their skin. I make sure to mention they have longer fingers, right? The Akids look a very specific way. My Minotaurs look a very specific way. There's all these different races, species in my world, so that you would want to describe enough so the reader goes, okay, they are at least different looking and maybe have different properties. But I do agree on the vague but informative. I want readers to go, all right, I got enough to start putting it together in my head, and this is who they are. I watched those videos. Which ones, Flowers? Which ones? I'll be signing off soon. Hey, good night, Angel Faye. I think is it next week or the week after? Oh, it's the week after. It's the week after we'll be getting you on as a special guest. Oh, we got some kicks. Bro! This guy just lost his life savings and is crashing out. Oh my god. That's funny. I'm not gonna click the others. So it's like a story Bible for us. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, my spreadsheet that I showed is ultimately my Bible, and it has the story. Yeah, it does break down everything. Excel is better. You know what? I think what you are comfortable using is right for you. Uh, but I'm not saying Google Sheets is the best option. I'm just saying it works best for me. It will be wasted if it ever makes it to. That's correct. The spreadsheet. Yeah. Is yes. And there's only one, right? Where I go through it. All right. With that said, let me just read through this real quick, and then I'm gonna do the poll, just so we can see. All right. They don't often tell you about the dulling sensation that comes from flying in the flashing lines of distant stars or a ship shaking in the clatter of chaos. Even the bruised backs and arms of smashing about in the flight deck. Still, one stop to reach distant planets, even the 100th stop. I'd think this would have shocked the mind of the uninitiated. As it should. You get used to it. I did. Lights blasted, pulsing red in time against a loud siren. Is that bad? I jammed 3 buttons down in a row. That didn't work. The radio clicked, popping over broken speakers flush to the cockpit corners. Why would that work? You're doing it wrong. But what do I know? The voice static, clashing against the shivering body of the ship. Right, a little help? I had no time for it. Smashing several buttons in a row, I bruised the curl of my fist on the metal. Which one shuts this damn alarm off? If you stop hitting me, I'd be happy to tell you, Laura. I jolted back in my seat, shimmering, trying to hold myself still, the arms of the damn chair already broken on one side. both sides, as I lifted the one good one off the lock, tossing it behind me. It's an old design, the voice popped in the speakers. I know this ship's old. I need to stop what's causing the alarm. The voice cleared her throat. We're coming in on the planet, and the old model design of the hyperspace device name is shit. It's actually, I'm enjoying that. That's kind of cute. It's kind of cute. We got a lot of movement there. Um, we got enough going on to keep the mind going. What's happening? Is she actually having a big issue, or is it? Right? We're gonna find out. It's just the hyper machine is old. The hyperspace device is old. So it's basically it's trying to come to a stop because it's getting closer to the planet. So it's just like, that's all. That's all that is. This computer has some. Yes, I'm trying to get the computer to have as much sass as possible, just for the fun of it. I will follow you back. Hi, I'm writing from an alt. If you follow my main, I will follow you. I'm reading some people from the Kick, but I think they're just trying to get people to leave the. It's probably just the fake stuff. All right, let's do it. By the way, any questions, any thoughts on what I just did today? My process, my approach. Do you have any questions on the first draft? How I did what I did. I'd be happy to answer any questions, obviously. Other than that, if you don't, we can keep moving on. I'm gonna keep forward, but obviously, if you have questions, yeah, it definitely seems like Kick is all about bots. Yeah, because it's like, I'll follow you back. Follow me fast. Follow me fast. How about you follow me fast? All right, it seems like. Okay, where are we? Oh, boop. Let's talk about the poll. By the way, I'm going to go through the poll, but if you have questions about what we did today, or at least what I did today, please ask. Please ask. I do like talking about that stuff. That's all important to me. All right. Yeah, that's basically what they're saying. They're like, don't watch this guy, watch me. They did try. Some of the things are all about like, somebody's losing money. Check this out. So stupid. All right, where are we? Oh. All right, so what belief stalls drafts most? What belief stalls drafts most? Okay, we have first, it must be perfect. Yeah, that's right. I can't even start. I can't even go forward. I can't move forward until it's perfect. Honestly, I feel like I was dealing with that today, only because I got kind of pushed into my brain. Yeah. I was getting sidetracked. All right. Number 2, which is interesting because it's 62%. It's in number 1. Number 2, it must be planned to the T. By the way, a lot of people believe this is how outlining does. It just, well, if I outline, then I can't start until I have everything outlined. One of my close buddies is doing it. I'm like, bro, you got to just start writing a book. He's like, yeah, but I get to a part where they get to a city, and then I just want to explore everything about the city. And I go, is it all in the book? And they're like, no. I'm like, don't worry about it right now. He's like, yeah, but I love world building. I go, you can world build, but give yourself 30 minutes to work on world building, and then give yourself 30 minutes to write. Like, just to keep the groove going. Anyway, number 3 is it must be original before I start. The big fear is ultimately like, why? This idea, everyone's done this idea, I'm not going to start. But in reality, remember, there's only 7 stories, and if it's written through your experience and your perspective, your lens, that's what makes it original. And it must be marketable. This one, I fear, is a killer of careers, because anything can be marketable, and the truth is in the pudding. Lord of the Rings was not an original idea that was marketable. It became marketable. It became huge, right? Every style, every genre, every subgenre, every book that became the beacon of, hey, this is writing, was based on change, adjustment. It was written outside the market. I was watching an interview with these 4 authors. One of them was the Red Rising author. Then Brandon Sanderson was there, and then there was 2 other authors. And they were talking about because they were talking about the future of sci-fi and the future of fantasy. And Sanderson's like, I remember when uh, Anne Rice was big, and everybody was like, you can't do vampires because Anne Rice does vampires, and if you're not going to write vampires like she does, they're not going to sell, right? And this is her insurgence, by like where she started getting like she kind of went, and then she went, woo, got bigger again, and then Brandon Zane was like, but then they wrote Twilight, and Twilight became massive, and it, everyone said you shouldn't write vampires because there's the interview with a vampire, and also, what do they got? Twilight and 50 Shades of Grey, right? Those things wouldn't exist without just writing. Anyway, I just got the Red Rising book on Audible. Are you enjoying it? Are you enjoying it? My nephew likes it. Oh, at least love Twilight. I think if you love Twilight, enjoy the hell out of it. I just have issues with it as an adult trying to read because it's like middle grade or as a young adult or something. But I also, again, it would be like, somebody, hey, read my romance novel, and someone's like, I hate romance, and then they read it and they're like, I don't like it, and you're like, oh yeah, of course you don't like romance. Haven't started it yet. My vampires have their own rules. They have their own rules. Excellent, excellent. Can't wait, can't wait. It's good. It's good. You have to. I think that's what makes. Again, that's the uniqueness. Is like you're creating your own world. I like reading young adults sometimes too. I read a lot of different genres. Oh yeah, 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 for sure. You gotta explore and expand the mind. Because I'm the kind of person that'll watch like Transformers, more than meets the eyes, transform and roll out. But at the same time, I also love a thriller or a mystery or something that's like epic and fantasy based, right? But sometimes I want those popcorn movies. I'm just saying. Anyway, it looks like 62% chose it must be perfect. Roe chose. Oh, I missed your comment. Sorry, buddy. Roe chose perfect. I think everyone chose the perfect almost. We have 13 votes. It's a good vote system. Let's end the poll. Boom, boom. It must be perfect. By the way, I love that these are beliefs that stall drafts, and these are things we have to break. We got to break these holding ropes, as they say. I am also a Twilight lover. Are you Jacob or Edward? And what are your thoughts on the imprinting? Uh, where Jacob's like, I didn't mean to imprint the baby. I like the LOTR movies, but I don't like the books. That's very fair because Lord of the Rings movies were absolutely honed and shivered or shifted into being a little bit more accessible. I don't like that they got rid of Tom Bombadil, but I do like that they took Tom Bombadil out because like it was just literally let's go over here and I want people to meet Tom Bombadil, which is technically the character that J.R.R. Tolkien created this world based on. So I just at least want to introduce him into the book. But he does technically save the hobbits from the whole right. But there's a lot of stuff in the movie, like even Aragorn. I don't know if anyone really knows this, but Aragorn in the movies is not the same as Aragorn in the books. Just as a lot of a lot of the stuff that happens in that. For example, the movie doesn't end with the ring burning. Uh, and Sauron, the witch, what's his name? Sauron. Yeah, Sauron. Sauron. Not Sauron. The other one. What's the Sauron? I don't know. They're like basically the same. They're like the same name. I always get those mixed up. Uh, oh yeah, Saruman. Saruman. Yeah, Saruman. He's alive in the book at the end, and when they go back to the village, when the hobbits go back to the village, Um, there's another fight. There's another big fight. But all the hobbits like fight together, and like Frodo and Sam and Pippin, all they all like rally everyone together, and then like they beat the evil. But they already beat anyway. Yeah, the movie's a farce. Was gonna go for perfect, but I grew out of that, and now it's stuck with fucking originality. Yeah, but anything you write is gonna be original, my friend. Anything, because it's through your lens. If you're worried about like writing a Lord of the Rings book, and you're like, that's not original. The way you write it makes it original. Even if you had little people that aren't called hobbits, but they're called, that's a long word, and it will get uncomfortable spelling it every time. But are cute and cuddly, and they have big hairy feet. And they have to go burn a cuckoo instead of a ring. The way you move around that through your lens makes it original. Edward for me. My favorite part in the movie, the first movie, is when Bella walks in the room and he goes, oh, oh. And Bella's I don't know. I'm not a woman. But if I was a teenage girl and I looked directly at a guy and the guy went, I would think maybe he doesn't like me. Here's my second gripe, but this is just my opinion. The moment somebody, like if I was, like, let's say I was, well, he's like over 100 years old. So let's say I'm 47, okay? And somehow I'm sneaking around in a high school still. And then I meet Bella, and she's whatever, high school age. And then we finally get over the smell, the stench. And I watch you sleep sometimes in your room. What? What? If she doesn't slap me in the face and call the police at that moment, she's red flags. Which means she's dateable. All right. I have never seen Twilight. You might be doing yourself a favor, but I had to watch all of them, and I stopped at 3. I couldn't do it anymore. But when I was doing comedy, our comedy group was like, let's see if we could write Twilight jokes that don't sound like Twilight jokes. Like they're just, so we had to watch them separately. And like, I was like, I can't do this anymore. I can't do it. Team Jacob in printing was so weird, right? That's, by the way, the only reason I know that exists is because I know what happens. Because I still did research on the book after I couldn't finish the third movie. I was just like, oof. But yeah, that was weird, and it just seemed contrived. Like we need these people to have a conflict. It's more complicated reading, so hard for me to get into it. I have it on my Kindle though. Oh, it's more complicated reading. What, baby? What? Come on. I know. I know. You're gonna jump up here. Yes. No. Yeah. I never even watched Buffy. Buffy the Vampire Slayer television show or the movie? The movie is fun, but the television show was like a massive hit. Oh, look, it's the cat. All right. I will say this though, the movie is great. I love the movie. Paul Rubens is in it, but or the guy who plays Pee Wee Herman. The clowns brought Tom Bombadil in Rings of Power. Yeah, yeah. I love that he was there because I'm like a big fan of Tom Bombadil, but and not because his name is Tom, but he's a bomb, What's up, baby? But yeah, I was like, I feel like they were just like, what are we gonna do with Gandalf? You know what I'm saying? That's what I feel just happened. The Twilight series got me excited about reading again at the time it came out, and I watched the first movie every day for 30 days. Yeah, but SB, you probably were much younger. It's not like, like I watched it. Come on, baby. I watched it when I was in my late 20s, early 30s, because that was pretty much when I was doing like a lot of comedy. And, but But if I was younger, if I was like, early 20s or even younger than 18, my brain probably would be like, "Oh, high school." Like I wouldn't have even connected, you know, 100-plus-year-old vampire still is 100-plus-year-old person hanging out with, like, what interest does 100-year-old, even a 60-year-old vampire have with a 16-year-old? Like, there's no, and and Edward is like, isn't he a soldier? Isn't he like from the Civil War or something like that? The amount of death that person saw, and then he's sitting with this girl, and she's just like, "My dad, I live with my dad, and and I'm just saying, it would have made more sense if he was like a new vampire and he was like the same age, and then like maybe even 2 years older, whatever. But but a hundred and something year old vampire is still a hundred and something year old person, and then if you put it into the context of the life he led, Bella's not that interesting to be like, you know what? I'm gonna stay in high school. Maybe I'm just crazy. I watched Buffy, but I think that may have been agreed. All right. And my eyes would just skip over their name each time. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, that the big names. Come here, baby. You talking about Lord of the Rings or Yeah, that was a good scene. She was like, "He hates me." Yeah, he's like, I had this idea for a story based on Middle Earth, like 2,000 years from the end of the story after industrialization with high tech and stuff, and never got to develop. Now, see, I say if you ever get a chance, work on that. I wouldn't connect it to Lord of the Rings directly because of the family, the estate sues everybody. Um, I only know this because I know somebody. Their aunt is their lawyer. Um, the Tolkien family's lawyer. Uh, does that make them the Tolkien lawyer? All right. Anyway, but the idea, you can absolutely do the idea. You just have to like disconnect it from what is Lord of the Rings. But that sounds interesting. That sounds really interesting. Technically, Brandon Sanderson is doing that with his own series because he's doing like medieval kind of time. Then he's doing like what is it? I think the new series he's working on within that world of Mistborn is modern day, and then he wants to do another series within that same timeline of the future, and he's going to make it sci-fi. I think we borrow elements which make us, yes. Wait, what? Us feel. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, that is an issue. Like, because again, like I have trolls. There's been trolls in so many stories. So how do you make trolls original, right? How do you make dragons original? How do you make? I don't want to say. I have a funny story about one of my buddies being like, "You have dragons? Don't have dragons." And then I explain what the dragons are and how they're like everything about the dragons in the narrative. And he's like, "Do not take those dragons out." But I can't tell you why he said that, which definitely makes him original, but it also gives away a lot. It gives away a lot. So I'm just gonna put it where he was just like, "Do not remove those dragons." Um, but that's like wizards. There are wizards in books. There are fighters in books. There's magic. There's the right. So there's spaceships in sci-fi. There's Dune technically, like the harvesting of the spices is anything where it's minerals, or in Lord of the Rings where the mithril. That's mithril might as well just be what you would call it, the spices. It's just something that they have to gather and work to get. Baby, come here. We're not doing only cats. All right, but I agree. Yeah, but them's gonna. Yeah, but them's gonna fuck up spell check, Thomas. That's true. That's true. What are you doing? I'm glad that the words cover up the cat hole. All right, the dark-haired vampire. Don't know who that was. Dark-haired vampire. Are you talking about Amand from interview? Yeah, that sounds creepy when you put it that. That's all I'm saying. Like, I get I understand the high school element of it, but the moment, and for kids, especially like a teenage girl reading that book, it was written for a teen, But even guys in that age, like you're reading it, you're like, "Ooh, vampires." You're not putting. I'm 47. I will be 48 this year. So my life and the context of when I meet 30-year-olds, I feel the disconnect. So, or like when I go to the grocery store and there's like a 20-something-year-old girl on the cash register, just being like, "Hello," and then they're like, "How was your day?" And then she rings up my food. There's such a she's so young, right? So 20, 30, whatever. This guy is over 100. How old is Edward? I gotta look this up now. How old is Edward Cullen? All right. He was 17 years old in 1901. So when the book came out, he was considered 109 years old. I would look like a baby. Like he would talk to me like I was a child because there's just the difference. Anyway, I could go on for hours for that. I like Twilight, to be honest. Afghani, you can like it. I think we should love what we read, Just love what we read. I read the books. Yes, it is two. Look at two. Kitty appearance. Oh wow, I'm really behind on everything. Hiya, two's bum. Don't you mean Grand Elf? That's right. Grand. That's funny. Yeah, I was younger then. Yeah, that's the ticket. No, I get it. There is stuff that like I love Labyrinth, but now I watch Labyrinth and I'm like, okay, my brain cannot disconnect from what's going on. She's like 16, and I was younger than Jennifer, Conley, and she was a crush for me, But I was a kid, and she was all right. But now, as an adult, you watch that, and you're like, she's 16, and David Bowie's like old in comparison, and he's like seducing this girl, and my brain just doesn't work. Like I'm just like I don't get. But also, there's other things. But that doesn't mean I did not. When I was younger, I loved the movie. I still like the movie, though. It's fun. Why don't you come in, have a cup of tea, meet the missus? Well, we also have a group of women who are into older men, so 6'7", 6'7". It's true. It's true. I have yet to meet women that find elder people even slightly attractive. Maybe it's because I'm not. All right. No, that was the other guy. Edward was a young man in the early 1900s who was going to die of influenza. It says here Edward Cullen is physically 17 years old, but chronologically over 100. He was born in 1901 and transformed into a vampire in 1918, meaning he's about 109 during the events of Twilight, remaining frozen at his in the teenage decade. He was born in 1901 in Chicago, Illinois. He was dying. He was indeed dying of the influenza. For me, I let my vampires age, but they stop aging at a certain point, and they look like they're in the, late 20s. If they turn into a vampire as younger, they can grow into. But I also have light he's 200 years old, and for some reason he's in high school. Well, he looks chronologically, he looks 17. I mean, he looks physically 17, but nonetheless. Edward was he was born in 1901, but he was he was uh, uh he was turned into a vampire. Pay attention to me, human. He's like 170. Yeah, it says here he's 109 and go, but whatever. She fantasizes about you watching her sleep time. That's right. That's right. They met when he was old. It's a girl's fantasy. I didn't really give it much time when I read it. But that's when I say when you're reading it, you're not really thinking about that. But once you can sit in it, you start understanding what's going on. Yeah, time equals toy. Yeah, once I started really thinking about it. Yeah, but if you enjoy it, read the book. I'm not saying the book is bad for anyone to read. I'm just saying, like, I don't think people should be judged for reading it. I'm just, obviously she made a lot of money with it. The book's connected with a lot of people. So, who am I to say? I'm just saying there are things about the book that the logical connections is where I'm like, hey. I like the fantasy part of it, not the whole love story. That was kind of cringe. Agreed. All right. Oh, I can take this off. I can take this off. Phew. All right, that was a full day. We had a good time. I had a good time. You had a good time. All right. By the way, if anyone's interested, I did double check, and Death of the King, the prologue for short form outline, extended outline, 0 first and third drafts are 100% available for free to look at. And you could get a little look-see at the prologue. And then, obviously if you like it, that is ultimately what the scribe tier does. It allows you to see the mental processing of how I went through the changes and the development of the book. But also I am still working on a how to write class that will be pre-recorded and put under the scribe tier, so you'll also get that. But that is available. And of course, well, this, we already talked about it. Woo! I'm so happy that I got it. I'm going to be reading through this. For anyone who's watching this on the playback and didn't watch the live, so I know that you're not traditionally here for the audience, this book is not just for how to outline. It is actually designed to explain narrative. It explains the rhythm and beats in narrative, so if you're a pantser, you can still sort of utilize the information. And of course, I'm breaking down success exists. All right, go to make it right left here. I'm done. All right. See, this is the pushback you get with Thomas as a developmental editor. Yeah, because I'm thinking about the connection of it all. But again, remember, you're the writer. You can just do whatever you want. You could literally do whatever you want. All I'm doing as a developmental editor is coming in and giving you my perspective and ideas and thoughts, not to necessarily change the thing, though I do ask questions, deep questions, because I want you to think about what it is you're writing, so it's not just spectacle for spectacle's sake. So it has a narrative, it has movement, fluidity, and it's doing something. The lore is they stopped counting their birthday at death and started counting their death day. And the high school thing is they are all teens when they die, so they have to go to. Yeah, that is what they say in the book. It's so they don't get discovered. But I don't know about you, but if I was a vampire and I was that old, I would not be going to school to cover for not aging. Yeah, because they move every couple of years. My husband also could not make the logical connection and was very confused when I asked him why couldn't he be more like Edward or Jacob. Mostly because he's not a vampire and or a werewolf. I used to be a cougar. All right. We love you anyway, Thomas, even with your lack of love for Twilight. Look, I love the people who love Twilight. It's just I grew out of Twilight, if that makes sense. Yes, we love you anyway. I love you both. I love you all. I would call it constructive challenging. Oh, I appreciate that, Ro. Because I never say it to be right or to be disrespectful. Because My job is literally to just create questions and to understand things and like how to approach this and how to give it a little bit more depth. And also, I'll be honest, I like doing it because I love seeing when the client, especially Ro or anyone else I'm working with, gets that bing, and they're like, oh, and then because that's developing a tool for you as a writer, just everybody as an author, or if you're not working with the development editor and you're working on your own at that time, to just be like, that's what that feels like, or that's what it looks like when you connect things. That's the stuff I like. I don't the teachers find it weird that there's these students who never seem to, well, in the book they move like every couple of years. Yeah, see? They hot. I love the hots. Well, Afghani, they move every so many years and then move back when time has passed. Yeah, basically they live out the teachers and as they move around and eventually get back to the place. The Cullens. Welcome to the Cullens. Welcome to the show. Other than that, did everyone have fun today? Did we have fun today? I think we got a lot out of it. We got to work on the book a little bit. How many words did I get in? Let's just check that real quick. I think it's maybe 300. Ooh, 264. That's not bad. That's not bad. That's not bad. Yeah, I had fun. Yeah, I had fun. I'm glad. I love it when you all have fun. All right, other than that, I guess we're done. Need a little bit of oh, Man Award just popped up. All right, if you haven't done so already, please bloop the beard and bloop that like button. And obviously, if you love what you've been watching, if this is your first time here or you've been watching for quite some time but just haven't done it yet, please hit that subscribe button and the bell icon so you don't miss out. Other than that, I think we're done. I think we could all get lunch. Does everybody want to get lunch? Oops. I love it. I love it. Big hearts and support. All right, everybody. I think it's time. It's been 2 hours. I think we all need a nap. I might take a nap. I don't know. I'm definitely going to eat something. Yeah, I'm hungry now and need a nap. Let's do it. Food and nap time. I've been eating already now. I've got work to do on my whip. Yeah. Kick some butt, SB, on that. Flowers, I'll see you later. Later, Gator, Mr. Rowe. To everybody, I'm Thomas J. Bellezza, and as always, keep developing the right mindset. I'll see you next week. Boom.